Hello, hi, my name is David Onyango Owor, and I am a follower and believer of Jesus Christ. I don't even know where to begin. God has been very faithful in my life. I am young. I'm only 29 years old. I haven't lived that long, but in that short period that I've lived, I have witnessed God's greatness in so many instances. I can talk about a variety of times. I'm going to specifically pick 2 or 3 moments that I went to Him, moments that I felt like this is the end, but God told me, my son, no, it's not. We are still going on. We are still going to continue and build on this. I think the first huge moment of my life was when I was back home in Kenya, and I was supposed to go sit for my national examinations. I had a couple of issues with my documentations, and that would lead to me not actually sitting for my examinations, which I feel like that would change the whole trajectory of my story right now. I was worried. I was young, so I didn't know so much to like lean into God, because I was like 14, 15 years old. I knew God, I believed in God, but I wouldn't say at the time I would go to God and talk to Him and ask Him about the issues that I had. So my first instance of seeing if you want something and going and getting it from God, I saw it through my parents. I saw my mom kneel down, pray, and ask God for a way out. As I said, I was very young, so I didn't know if whatever she's doing, if I could help her in any way by praying with her or asking God for help with her. But when my documents were actually in order and everything was great, that is when now I went back to God and thanked Him. That was the first time I can say I thanked God. I didn't pray with Him, I didn't pray to Him in the beginning, but after everything had lined up, I thanked Him. And I feel like that was my first real interaction with God from a personal level. Because up until that point, I used to go to church because my parents were going to church, my family was going to church. I used to do all these things because that is how I was raised up. But after becoming fearful that I might not sit for my national examinations, seeing my mom pray to God, and then God coming through for us, I actually believed in the power of prayer, and I believed in the power of submitting all your issues to God. So my first real interaction with God was thanking Him and being very grateful to Him for what He did in my life through my mom. Me seeing her pray to God made me understand that this is something that she actually cannot do by herself. Growing up, you think our parents are superheroes. If you want anything, you get it. But now when you realize you've brought an issue to your parent who's the superhero, and she now goes to another superhero, then like, maybe you're not the superhero. Maybe there's somebody who's a superhero. There's a supreme being who's a superhero. And that's when now, I had known God my whole life, but now that is the point that I knew that, you know what? God is the one, God supersedes my parents.
Yeah.
If I want something, yes, I can ask my parents for it, but my parents will ask God if they cannot provide it to me. So maybe I need to start having a relationship with God, so that if I want something, I can ask it from Him. There's something called the National Prayer Day, which is all students who are going to sit for those examinations will either go to their local churches or will go to school. There's like a prayer ceremony. Basically, this is the time that you just lay yourself before God and you tell God, hey, God, I'm going to do this exam and I need you to help me. This was a very important moment in my life. Being able to talk to God, being able now to ask God for something for the first time. Because every other single time, my parents were asking God for something for me. For me, I used to go to church, pray, you come back home. But now when I was going to sit for these examinations, and after I had seen the power of prayer, the power of belief, the power of faith, I now had a stronger faith. And I remember that day, during the National Prayer Day, I prayed to God. Like I built a relationship with God that was so strong that when I was leaving that room, I was extremely confident in going to sit for those examinations. I was very confident. Like I was like, there's nothing that is actually going to happen wrong, because me and God, we just spoke. As much as he didn't answer me directly, he gave me an answer. He told me that, my son, I got you. Go there, go do that exam, and everything is going to be okay. But now my relationship changed with God when I realized that it is not supposed to be a one-way type of relationship. I'm not supposed to be going to God when, oh, something is wrong. Oh, I need to pass my exams. Oh, hey, I need this amount of money. I'm supposed to go to God when I'm grateful. I'm supposed to go to God when I'm tired. I'm supposed to go to God basically just any single time I'm supposed to talk to God. And I tried to revolve my life around that. I'm a human being, and I believe the reason Jesus died for us on the cross is so that we can have that leeway of, if you lose your direction, you can still come back to him. And after high school, I lost my direction. If you're just being frank and being honest. Because at this point, I don't have my parents to go with to church every Sunday. I'm just by myself. I have my own house. And that is where I started backsliding, if that's the right term to use. When I talk about backsliding after high school, I basically mean I stopped going to church for a significant period of time. I still had like my morals and my beliefs and all that, but you see, there's that commitment. Jesus wants us to put in the work. You have to put in the work. So that commitment is what I was not putting. So what that means is I was not growing in faith. Only the faith that I had up to that particular point is what I was using to go through and like live my life. I was not improving on my faith. And I did that for like the first year of college. But then again, something happened which now made me come back to God. And now this time, I just didn't leave him. College, the first thing that I fall in deep is peer pressure. I joined, by the time I was getting to high school, to college, it was an election year. In Kenya, campus politics is about influence. So we're talking about public rallies. We are talking about like going out there wearing like those shirts for the people you vote and disrupting classes and all those crazy things. Like when it is an election semester, nothing is going on campus. So I was in the thick of that. And being in the thick of that meant I had to do so many things. Miss classes. Go out when like, okay, the person we are like campaigning for has given us some money to like go and try and influence people. Then you go, you have to do some activities like drinking and stuff like that. There are those things that I'd say are ungodly, but I was not seeing them as ungodly. I honestly was not seeing anything that I was doing wrong because I was not stealing from anyone. And I felt, at that time, I felt like as long as I'm not stealing from anyone, as long as I'm not coming to your house and committing a crime, a heinous crime, then I felt my conscience was just clear. So these are the things that I was doing that are still not biblical, are still sinful. I just gave my life a pass. I was like, oh, alcohol, what's the worst that could happen? Like, I drink on Saturdays and Sundays only, so I had been a bad student or a bad person all around. Like I was a student who was like living his life, and at home I was also very disrespectful to my parents because I moved out. I would go home sometimes drunk, and my mom, she's there, and I'm like, you can't tell me nothing, like I'm an adult right now. So I changed the type of person that I was so drastically up until that moment. Now when it hit me that again I might actually not finish college, then you remember the fear that came when I was thinking about doing my middle school examinations. Now it came again full force. My friends, the people that I was doing these activities with, they've disappeared. So I'm there in between. I can't go home, I can't go to school, I can't go to my friends. It's just me and myself. And I think that was the one time in my life that I was so alone. At that time I realized that I'm actually not doing anything good for myself. I am wasting my life. I have wasted the most important relationship. I have fractured it completely. And there's no end in sight. And that is the day that I now turned to God. You remember the way my mom cried when I was 14? This was me now at 2021, recreating that. I knelt down in that single room of mine and I cried to God. I was not telling God to help me with the situation that I am in. I was repenting. I was asking God for forgiveness. I was not asking God for a favor. I was not like, oh God, if you take me out of this school issue, if you take me out of this school situation, I'm going to be grateful. No. I was seeing it as my atonement. I was seeing it as my punishment for all the bad things that I've done. So I was asking God for forgiveness. I decided that I am going to change my life. I'm going to turn my life around. I slept. The following day I went home and I told my mom, I have been a stubborn young man. I have given you headache after headache after headache. But I assure you, you are going to see a different son moving forward. I promise you, you're going to be very proud of me. I am never going to let you down again. So it's kind of sad that God had to take everybody from my life for me to realize that I need to come back to Him. But I feel like if that hadn't happened, maybe I would never have known that when you are alone, God is there. That loneliness helped God illuminate Himself in my life. And I never looked back.